All right, guys, welcome back.
Yeah.
Mic check 1 2.
Yes, Sirski. Um, so this
Big
is
week at Earn Your Leisure. They're going to go see Barack Obama tomorrow.
Gave it away early, huh?
facts, facts,
Hey,
facts,
Auntie Shell.
facts, man. It's been a hell of a year. It's been a crazy last 3 months. It's just been like
Yeah.
so much stuff happening. So definitely got to give a big shout out to Robert Smith. That episode was going crazy. And
Yes.
that was a big moment for us to sit down with him. So shout out to him. And shout out to Floyd too. That was crazy to have, Floyd and Robert Smith same week. Floyd, a lot of people loved that episode as well. So marking Mondays, Earn Your Leisure back to back. So thank you guys for checking both of those interviews out.
A billionaire week.
Thank you for spreading the week.
That's a good point.
Sure. And this week is more. Well, first, and shout out to Noriega and DJ EFN, 19 Keys,
Legendary
champs, 4.5 hours, crazy.
Thank champs.
But that was dope.
That's Kanye length, right? Pause.
Yeah.
I think we passed it.
No, they split Kanye's episode into two, so I think he has the longest ever.
Gotcha.
Gotta be like number two. But yeah, we on a podcast run right now. So we got this week. We got my boy Loom.
Yeah, saw that.
We did that episode a while back, but he's putting that out. So shout out to Loom.
Shout out Loon. That's my guy. Y'all did that about a year ago, ain't it?
Yeah, a minute ago.
Yeah, it was a minute
ago.
He did one of y'all moves and just kept it in the cut.
He said on that.
Yeah,
He said on that.
I got an idea for it, brother. Got an idea.
Shout out to Loon, man.
Loon dope.
One of the realest.
And then also this week we got Matt Hoffa.
Yeah, New York show.
He's gonna be dropping clips from that episode. So yeah, man, we are flooding the streets.
That's cooking.
Oh, and Earn Your Leisure. We ending the year strong. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Podfather himself, Joseph Button, the revolutionary.
Shout out to my dog. Shout out to Court. Shout out to Ian.
Sometimes it's just fun to do an episode. Like we were looking forward to that just because of what he means to the space. But we had a lot of fun doing that.
Shout out to Joey, man.
Shout out to Joe.
This is a long time coming too.
Yeah,
you talking about how patient you were. Like I did 2 Patreons. Trap did 1. He was supposed to have done this when we go to that dinner? It was me, you, jury.
That was like 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
That was before COVID, right?
I feel it was during.
Right when it hit.
Yeah.
I don't think we was 30 episodes in.
Nah.
Market Mondays.
That was early.
You need therapy.
Why am I here?
Well, shout out to Joe. But the crazy thing is, like, Joe's underrated when it comes to the space and as far as business. And he had a lot to talk about. He spoke about the Spotify deal. He spoke about the podcast network that he had and the issues that it had. He's very candid about the Roy and Mall situation. He was very candid about, his thoughts on podcasters in the space and the mistakes that people are making.
Did you ask my favorite question? How many podcasts?
I was just about to say, and he was very candid about how many podcasts actually are profitable.
We definitely asked that, specifically the $1 million question. We definitely asked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, he was an open book. He said, whatever y'all want to ask, I'll answer, no problem. And he was very candid. So, shout out to Joey, man. Another classic episode. Check that out tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, this one of them.
It's gonna be incredible.
One of them. Like every time we tell you this one of them is really one.
No, for real. Corey hit me after. He said, "Hey, man, shout out to my guy Corey." He like, yeah, the guys came through. It's in that Steve Harvey category. I'm like, when Troy said we taking the camera and going to go travel, I said, oh, the travel episodes.
Yeah, and we did it at his studio too. So if you see the clips, it's not him interviewing us; it's us interviewing him. It's just at his studio. So don't get confused by the clips because the clips will look like he's interviewing us because it's at his studio. But we just went to his studio to interview him. So shout out to the whole team; they were gracious with their equipment. They let us, they taped it for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it was dope.
The last time we were there, we talked about the tiny couch. Tiny couch.
Oh boy. No more. I was leaning back like this. I'm like, bruh, these couches were not made to record on. Just to have your lover next to you, like, hey, baby, what's happening? I said, boy, I need some chairs.
Shout out to Joe.
Keep leaning away.
Good dude. So,
is there one micro gem you can give away to lead into tomorrow's episode, one mistake, one lesson, one thing that you think would be valuable if you just starting your business in 2023?
I think so. We asked him what the problem. We asked him what happened with the podcast network, because it looked like it was promising and then it kind of just fell apart. And he said that he thought that he was understaffed. He didn't fully anticipate the workload, and he didn't fully anticipate dealing with different personalities and different creatives, and he wasn't prepared. So I think that was an honest answer that he gave. I think that's true for any entrepreneur. Like, you know what I mean? Like, be prepared. You're never going to be 100% prepared, because you're always going to learn on the fly. But
plan in advance.
It's extremely important to have a business plan. It's extremely important to think about all the things that can go wrong. It's extremely important to have advisors around you to learn the system from the inside and out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, actually learn about, different aspects of it, and keep communication with people. So I think that that's something that was beneficial for all entrepreneurs to understand it. In his journey, he was, pretty transparent about, why that didn't work out. So I think that people can learn from that for sure.
Yeah, I'll add just something really quick. When we talked about the profitability of some of the podcasts and trying to help people out, and he kind of reminded me of the interview we had with Little X, when he was like, certain things you're gonna have to just figure out. Like, I could tell you, but certain things you're just gonna have to learn. And there's going to be a few that break through and have the machismo to figure out how to make this thing work. And there's a handful of them, but they were supposed to do it. They were meant to do it because of the purpose. That was their vision, and they're executing it. A lot of people are just getting into the space because they think it's cool, or they think they can make money, and they quickly find out, like, what am I even doing here? But they're here now, right? And so figuring out your value add and knowing your vision and sticking to it is vital. So real quick tidbit from the Podfather himself.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, correct?
Yeah, definitely gonna be
one of the ones.
Yes, sir.
One of the ones. So, all right. Well, that's our rundown. Ian.
Yes. Stock Club call will be on Monday. Our new time is Monday at 3 p.m. Central. So as soon as the market closes, we'll be doing our Stock Club call. For those of you who went to Madison Square, we are still waiting from Ticketmaster to release the email so we can get you all your bonuses, goodies. Troy and Rashad threw in some bonuses. Rashad is even going to tell you his amazing barber that he goes to. So stay tuned. And I want to tell everyone, like, I have no reason to hold this information back from you. But if you've seen the Taylor Swift thing, and if you go Google what's going on with Ticketmaster right now, they're having some issues. And 2023 is going to be exciting. Oh, and lastly, if you want to join our group chat, go to eninvest.com. We will be switching over to Kajabi to prevent some intellectual theft from happening. But yeah, we put a couple, entries. So we are going to make this like a little trading club. So you can join that, get it while the price is cheap, because I'm going to tell Troy and Rashad we need to raise this price after this first trade hits. And if you want to join the stock club, go to joinredpanda.com, or Troy and Rashad can put the link in bio. If you're tired of, listen, somebody hit me and tagged me in a post like, yo, I lost $300,000. I'm not listening to anybody else but Ian. If you're tired of losing all of your money and listen to people who copy me and don't take any accountability, come join the real and get rich in the process. If I've made you money, please put yes in chat. Let's go.
Facts. Yeah, man. Speaking on taking from you, here's our disclaimer. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Please continue to do the research. Please, when it's great research, share it with your community. And if you hear it from anyone that is connected to the Market Mondays franchise, please give credit where it's due. Love is love, yo. Yeah. I'm glad you brought up that Ticketmaster thing. I actually experienced it firsthand the other day. We'll get into that conversation another time. While we're here, want to let you know about a great choice if you're looking to bank or invest. Obviously, we have a gracious guest today from Ally.
Yes.
So Ally is a leading digital financial service company with passionate customer service, innovative financial solutions, and our relentlessly focus on doing it right for both customers and our communities. So get with Ally so you can save, invest, and spend on the things that matter most to you. For everything we need, we're all better off within Ally. Shout out to the good folks over there.
Yes, sir. So we do have a guest, Demetrius Scott, Director of Allied Corporate Citizenship. But before we bring him on, let's start the show and talk about some topics. So let's start with Donald Trump.
Your guy.
Wow.
This is just so they can clip it up and act like this controversy. I'm learning.
What do you think of Donald Trump launching his NFT collection, and do we think it will be successful? So if you saw the thing that was on Instagram, like his preview for his NFT, he had a whole thing. He made a commercial actually where he said that he's he's your favorite president of all time, better than Lincoln, better than George Washington, and he has an NFT collection that he's rolling out, and it's going to be like one of the things you get to play golf with him, one of the things you get to eat dinner with him. It's a whole situation. Interesting time to drop the NFT collection because NFTs have plummeted.
97% since January.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people still believe in the space. They still believe in the technology. So what do we think about this? Do you think it's going to be successful?
I think we got to define what success is. I mean, it's been less than a week. It's made $4.4 million. Like it sounded like it was a joke. And if you look at it, I remember I sent the article to Shy. I'm like, yo, are you looking at this? And like he got the laser eyes, like the Superman eyes. And I'm like, yo, this looks like it's a comic, or it looks comical. But when you realize 70 million people voted for this man, it really isn't that funny. Like this is a real business move for him. Obviously, what makes the NFT space unique is the incentives. And so there are people who want to sit down with him. There are people who would pay to play golf with him, or pay to be in a meeting with him, or pay to have dinner with him, or pay to have dinner with him. So do I think it'll be successful? It just depends on what the definition is. If it's just to make money, or if it's to galvanize more people, to show them how personal he is. Like he said, he wants to be the I guess the all-time favorite of all presidents in the history of American society.
Highly unlikely.
It's going to be tough.
Highly unlikely.
He's using technology. He's using the technology to do it, which, he's a first. He's a first. We haven't seen anybody else do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first what?
President.
To drop an NFT?
Yeah, has that anyone else?
There wasn't NFTs around back then.
I'm just saying, in this space, like there's other presidents who could have used technology. He's the first one to do it. I mean, I'm sure he'll use that as something as an incentive. Like, yo, nobody else was able to use technology. It speaks to a younger demographic. It speaks to a younger audience. It says that I'm staying in touch with what's happening. We'll see.
What's your thoughts on this, Ian?
Financially, there'd probably be a success for him. He does have a loyal fan base despite all of his failure. I think it's a little bit late to be launching NFT, but also there isn't as much competition. So financially, it would do very well for him. I think it's mistimed. I even remember when he wasn't the biggest fan of crypto. What I will say for business owners, because all NFTs are, and remember when I said NFTs would crash and I was in Vegas and I was screaming. I was on my Loaded Lux Calico-ish and everybody like, yo, you tripping. I'm like, yo, the market is going to fall apart. And often during recessions, we end up having people that do these money grabs. And to get a dinner with them and play golf with them, there is some value there, but is it really that valuable in a grand scheme of things? I'm surprised that Kanye has not done one, given all the stuff that he's gone through. But as far as a liquidity generation event, I think is very smart for him to do this one now, but I don't think it's going to have a great impact on the market. I mean, we'll talk about Kevin O'Leary later, but there's people who hated the space and they see how much money is there and they're looking to use their celebrity as an arbitrage with their fan base to collect coins and not really help the people. I don't think there's any, like everyone, please tell me what the utility of this NFT is. And I've said it before, if Web3, cryptocurrency were the saviors to the industry, then why isn't the cryptocurrency saving the companies and brokerages and tokens that are going out of business? We have to call a spade a spade. These instruments are the new penny stocks. Are there some that have provided value? And I know I was early even in saying about that particular club that we talked about when we were in Austin, and saying how they were tied to the Nazi regime and the similarities. NFTs are the new penny stocks. And until there is actual real world value and real world utility, when we see a Tesla or a Lucid or Apple, a Microsoft, Unilever use them, this is a grand scheme for people to collect money off of those that are diehards of this space. Like even the guys that got convicted, I said this a year ago, people will start to get convictions around promoting these. I don't wish jail on anybody. Now, I don't want you to say yes, ma'am in court 1,000 times either, but that's neither here nor there. But I remember on Twitter, I had made a comment like, hey, I don't know any successful trader that is on their phone 12 hours a day. And then Zach, one of the guys who ended up getting indicted, came for me. And I'm like, if you're trading and making all this money, then why do you care what I have to say about the space? I wish him well. I don't wish jail on anybody. But I've told every creator here, when there's a recession, there's going to be more depression, more suicide, more violence, more domestic violence. Also, the level of indictments go up as well. Please be careful. If you're going to promote a project, make sure that it actually works. Make sure that it has utility. Make sure that it is working for you first. Good cash grab for Trump, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to have a big impact on the market.
All right. Okay.
Liquidation event, liquid, especially in a recession, right? Like it, and right now he's under investigation. Interesting.
You got to pay them lawyers.
At the same time.
Now the positive, because I don't want to just rain down. One thing I'm trying to improve upon, not only is my grace, but I'm also trying to, when I say something is dead or dying, or to watch out, to give the positives in it. You should go look at what he's offering in the NFT and see how you can add that to your business. Most NFTs are operating as a membership site. Cool. So add those there, and it's just giving a new veneer. So for your own personal business and collection, look and see what he's added and look to trump that. Even if you look at Market Mondays, I don't call it an NFT, but all those bonuses I give are essentially that. So be mindful, as Rashad would say, be careful. This market is going to get flushed out here pretty fast over the next year. And then at some point, there will be a company that creates a lot of value that helps the world at scale, and they will be dominant in that space.
Yes, I believe so. All right. So let's talk about Binance. Do you think it's possible for Binance BNB token, the Binance token, will suffer the same fate as FTT, which is the FTX?
FTX, yeah.
But it's FTT is the token.
Mm-hmm.
So the FTT token in the next 3 months.
I hope not, but it's looking highly likely. Business is a very interesting game. I was once told that business is war without the bloodshed and the carnage. The move the CZ did was brilliant. Chess 101, right? But the thing about often, and we've experienced this oftentimes, and I've heard this from a few people, but a person that is doing better than you will never have anything negative to say because they're too occupied with being successful. When CZ waved this flag around destroying FTX, which is brilliant, you have to make sure when you do that your own house is clean. And because this space is going to, and I said it from the beginning, the banks are going to find ways to take the space over. I hope that this coin does not fall apart and Binance does not fall apart. I'm not anti all crypto, just as a person who actually trades, like I actually trade for a living. There are certain things that you can see that are not clear. And I said it before, even with Sam, when they were saying he was doing this arbitrage and taking Bitcoin from Hong Kong and transferring it here, no person had ever seen him take a trade prior to. I hope the Binance does not fall apart, but I will say if you are in this coin, you probably should get out now before shit hits the fan. What do you guys think?
Why? What makes you say that? Binance, so just to give some reference to people, Binance is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world.
Mhm.
Its coin has done tremendously well throughout the history. I mean, of course, it's taking a hit when all crypto takes hits, but throughout its time, it's done tremendously well. Binance is a highly respected cryptocurrency platform
Mhm.
globally, and it's the biggest. So yeah, all right. So that's that. So why are you so bearish on Binance?
My favorite question. So I'll walk someone through my set of questions when I'm looking to invest in anything. Number one, what does this coin do that no other coin or entity can do in the world? Number two, if you had to put your life on the line, would you put all your money into this coin? And when I say your life, yours, your family, friends, everyone. For most people, when I get to question number two, the answer is no. I do think that there is some value there, but I think the thing that we are seeing in real time is that the transparency that we wanted and that we thought blockchain would give is not there in most. And if it's not there in the biggest companies, FTX, Binance, what's stopping the 15 other players that are 3 through 15 and then the top 100 to be running ethically as well? I think cryptocurrency at scale is an amazing industry run by a bunch of people who knew there was no regulation, and they're taking complete advantage of that. So I'll ask you guys, if you had to, would you put all of your money into BNB coin? I think the answer would be no. Would you put all of your money into Earn Your Leisure and assets of reliability? You show that day in and day out. I think often when we have to convince people of something being of incredible value, it's not. And I went through it with GameStop. I went through it with GME. AMC. I went through it with Facebook and Meta. Most of these coins don't actually provide any value.
Yeah.
So
I think just another part of it is that the responses that they've been getting during this time, right? So the executives from Binance, when they ask questions, obviously with FTX being the headline for the crypto space right now, the answers are really that confident. And so most people know that Binance was an investor in FTX. They had over $2 billion invested, and they sold their stake. And then that's what prompted them to say maybe we'll bail them out. And obviously they didn't. We saw what happened to FTX.
Yeah.
But what's starting to happen is people aren't believing in the space as much, and now you're seeing withdrawals. And so it was like, oh, it's 1.2 billion. Okay, that's not even a top 5 day for us at Binance. Then it's the same day, I believe it was last Wednesday. It's 4 billion, and then it's 6 billion the next day, and it's like
Adds up.
they started adding up, and it's like, can we withstand this type of momentum on the downside? And the answer has been, we're financially okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, companies that lose that type of money in a day, usually, there's something in the underlying documentation or underlying reports that is going to state to what's happening. And that's what we saw with FTX. It was like, we don't get to see it, right? We don't know what the financials look like. We just see that there's a lot of withdrawals happening. Can they continue that? I don't know. We'll see. It was down 15% in a day.
Let me do an exercise with you guys. Is Earn Your Leisure profitable?
Yes.
Notice Rashad or Troy didn't shake in their chair. And when they answered, your gut feeling told you, yeah, they're straight. They're good. Is Red Panda profitable? Yes. Am I profitable? Yes. Am I debt free? Yes. Certain times, like, we want to believe the hype of something. Like, we ever dated somebody and like we know that there was bad, not you, Troy, because you married an amazing, great family. Me and Rashad trying to learn. Snow return, Rashad's call, don't miss out on the king. Or who's next on the list? I don't know. Whomever, right? But a lot of times, like, we'll want to believe the lie because we want to be sold the dream. I would, and honestly, if Binance and these coins worked as well as they said, I would be all into them. I know people are like, yo, stick to stocks. And like, no, I trade one of the hardest markets in the world. I just don't see what the value proposition is. And then also when you don't have any protection from the banks, the hedge funds, lobbyists, the global elite, if you will, what's the real value? And I think he could have done a better job after this FTX blow up of coming out and saying, here's what our revenue looks like. Here's what our weaknesses are. Here's what the threats are. Here's what we're going to do if there is a run on our bank. Here's what we're going to do to make sure that the value of the coin stays up. Here's what the 5-year or 4-year projection of our company looks like. A lot of it is gut. The number one thing I want to tell all Black investors who watch the show, even if you don't know every fundamental thing that me or Troy or Rashad or Trap will talk about, one thing that you do know growing up in our environments in the hood, your gut instinct. My favorite quote from Bootsy about Kanye, he like, yo, I'm a street dude. You can tell them that. You can't get that over on me. So even when I was talking to Loon this past week, I'm like, bro, why you rock with me? He like, even though you ain't from the streets, you're a real one. And every time I talk to you, everything that you say, I feel that you're being honest about. Sometimes, though, we end up finessing ourselves and wanting to believe a lie that is not true. The crypto space right now is like dating Koran back in the day. Sound like a good idea, and you may get some pleasure out of it for them first 3 weeks, but you're gonna go through hell after. Shout out Eddie Winslow.
Shout out Eddie Winslow. Shout out Lil
So,
Yeah. And I don't know if it was that super. Like, I don't want to find out, but
Nah. They got the video. We'll talk about that. No, but that's after.
I never saw that. Yeah,
Nah,
saw that.
man.
It was Ned.
Nah. Super.
I would say this about Binance though. I think Binance can't be compared to FTX because Binance is a way bigger operation. Is apples and oranges really. It's comparing a tugboat to a cruise ship. So I don't think that Binance is going to collapse. And if Binance does collapse, then the whole entire crypto space is pretty much done at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that it's a fair comparison to compare the two.
Okay.
And I'll give Binance the benefit of the doubt because we haven't seen anything as of yet that would raise red flags.
We didn't the FTX either, though.
We didn't,
Which is the scary part. Yeah.
It's like a relationship, right?
Yeah. I can't project that on them.
You can't say somebody's cheating until you start to see, like, you gotta see some red flags first. You see some red flags first.
Gotcha.
Now you just if you just coming up.
But back to the gut though, the intuition.
Though.
But your intuition comes from some level of red flags, right? If I'm just saying like
not always.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes you could just something's not right. You may not have
to feel the difference,
but you can feel it.
Ladies, can you feel it? Right. So when our schedules change up and the level of affection change,
that's something's happening. Something's happening.
Or you could just feel like
you coming home late. You're not answering your phone calls. These are red flags.
When you're in the presence of it, right? You could just feel like there's something there's something, and then you start really trying to feel like, yo, something has now changed. You start looking for those red flags.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. We'll get the CEO of Binance on here.
Yeah.
If anybody can connect the dots,
talk about it.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah, but Ian, to your point,
no, I'm serious.
Oh, yeah, I'm dead serious.
Let me just put this
on. Go ahead.
We have a big audience that actually watches.
Yeah.
So he actually had the cover of Forbes a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Billionaire. I believe he's from. I don't want to misquote this situation, but he's from China, I believe, or Hong Kong.
I think China.
Yeah.
If definitely would love to have a conversation with him because it's important and it's a pivotal time in crypto. So it's important to get in front of, because like you said, if people might have suspicions and they might not even be warranted. But if you're not speaking up publicly, then a snowball becomes an avalanche. So if you're listening, we would love to have you on the program. And hear your thoughts about your company and the future of cryptocurrency as a whole.
107.71 is where I have the coin going to.
I was just going to say to your point, Ian, like in the light of what's happened with FTX and obviously the role that they played in it, this would have been the opportune time. So if there was red flags, let me show you why we're different. Let me tell you how we're different. Let me put everything out here to show you why this is a real situation. What that was obviously fraud from from everybody's perspective at this point. Let me show you why we're the number one exchange. Let me show you why this point is legit. It would have been an opportune time rather than just saying we're financially fine.
Che Peng Zhao. He's actually a
He's
Canadian national, but he was born in China. So
okay.
he's from Chinese descent.
Yeah.
A Canadian national. Che Peng Zhao. Hope I'm not mispronouncing his name. Too bad. But yeah, let's talk. Let's figure out. Let's figure that out immediately. Okay.
Race. Yes, I'm learning.
So let's go to this next one. What are the 3 big mistakes investors can avoid from being scammed in 2023 during this recession?
Number one, you have to listen to people that are financially free from investing. After I got that message yesterday, shout out to the queen saying that she lost 300 grand. I was like, what made you listen to them and not me or somebody that it's like, they were marketing so well and they were so aggressive in approach. And ladies always say this, like anybody that's too aggressive with you in approach usually is not the best for you. Number 2, when I say do your own research, I want to define that. So I want you to watch at least 20 episodes of Market Mondays. I want you to go look at the earnings of the company for the last 5 years. And then after that, I want you to go talk to 10 family members or friends and ask if this is a good investment. During 2020, part of 2021, everything was going up in value. And I said it, they are going to let people get money for this after the PPP thing. They're going to let people make money to offset the losses that are going to come for the next few years. We have to do a better job at also calling out those who don't know what they're talking about. Because I feel like all of a sudden they saw this show get hot and then it was like, well, my version of podcasting isn't working. So now I'm going to come here and try and do this and replicate, and we've even had conversations with people and then the next week it's like they got a financial literacy I'm like, you don't know how to even open up your checking account. Like, how the hell you got an investing show? What?
Stranger things have happened.
So, and thirdly, I want us to stop being so hungry to flip for the short term and focus on the long term. And I know, man, that 5-year, 10-year-ish is not sexy, but any money that I made from Red Panda or investing year 1, any money that they made from Earn Your Leisure year 1 is not the same bag as year 5. Look, listen, I keep saying it, they're glowing. Troy getting happier, he filled with joy. Rashad happier. I'm getting happier and learning grace. Things are good, man. I think we're too short-sighted. And often because we have deep debt, we want to get a big bag of money, but the same tool set that you have right now that caused you to get into debt or make financial mistakes, I don't care if you get 300,000, 400,000, you're going to blow through 400,000 in 3 or 4 months. And everyone's like, yo, not me. But will you study now 2, 3, 4 hours? And that's the bare minimum. Even with the Floyd clip, like people are talking about dedication and people in the comments like, oh, I don't take that much. I can do this in 4 hours a day. And I'm like, I love Tim Ferriss. I bought every book he's put out. Even Tim with all the VAs and creating that industry, he works way more than 4 hours per day or 4 hours a week. Focus on the long term. I want you guys to get rich. And this is the last thing I want to say. Sometimes you are committing fraud and finessing yourself by listening to some of these people. If people wouldn't be gullible, there will be no reason that a person can tell you that they can make you 1,000% in 1 year and you believe it when you can see that they don't have 1,000% return lifestyle for themselves. Impossible. So do your research, only listen, and you don't have to solely listen to me. But man, if you were to listen about the Facebook drop, the rise of TikTok, Apple going into healthcare, Amazon going into healthcare, Bitcoin going to 20 grand. What else was I screaming about in Vegas? You would have been the NFT market falling apart. You would, and on these and doing better. When I say this, for those of you who know how to short these, if I say, hey, something is going to drop, short it. I remember even in Coinbase when we was in Miami with Terrence, and I was like, hey, Coinbase could be in some trouble. People's like, man, Ian don't know Rashad. Why the hell you keep doing the show with Ian? Even though I brought the idea and say, hey, let's do a show.
Shorted.
Coinbase went down as a result. And if you are an exchange and crypto is going to save the world, why the hell can it save the brokerages that hold it? Be careful. Do your own research. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. And I'm going to ask you this. If listening to me would have made you 4x or 5x more, please put yes in chat. You get to keep all the money this year. 2023, we're going to change some rules, though. Go to ianinvest.com and join our group trading chat while the price is still low, because it will be going up in 2023. But what about you guys? What do you think 3 things people can do to prevent from getting taken advantage of in this recession?
I think just in life, in any economic environment, avoid investing in things that you don't understand. That's extremely important. If something sounds like it's too good to be true, it usually is. And have firm, realistic expectations before going into it.
You were an advisor, right?
Yeah.
You guys have met a few billionaires. I don't know how many millionaires. Has any of them behind the scenes told you like, hey, I put all my money into this one project or coin, or did they all have diversified business models?
Diversify. You gotta diversify. It's important. So I feel like people, like I said, they just don't have a realistic expectation based off of a variety of different things, lack of information, lack of education, social media, different things of nature. So that human history, that allows you to get scammed. So put your thinking caps on. Use your intelligence, not your emotions. And that's like golden rules for life, really.
Yeah, I think what you said. What you said is that speculating, like trying to find the next thing. Like you said this every year for the past 2.5 to 3 years. It's like, look, we don't have to look for the next thing from the thing that's here is working. And so a lot of times when we try to look for the next thing, we start speculating and we try to take gambles. And it's like, for what? Right? Like we want that quick flip. I remember like, and even when we were in Vegas, I was there for that rant with you. I was like, he was going crazy up there. But it was like the young lady asked me, yo, how do we make a quick flip? And I'm like, we got to change the mindset on that. Like, we're not here to quick flip. We're actually here to create wealth.
And I know that's not sexy.
I know it doesn't feel right. It's like, yo, but I need money now. And I'm like, yeah, like we got to get out of that mindset of instant gratification and we need everything right now. That gets us nowhere.
And if you need money now, because the thing is, we was talking before we start recording, I got to get a place out there in New York. When I get the bill for what it would be, I'd be like, whew. The thing I do love about New York, though, the energy of it, and everyone's on the move. If you need money today, then you have to get up and work. Like if the average person that is not financially free is working 8 to 10 hours a day, and they ain't getting on the subway and traversing everything that goes on through New York and, you know, stepping over the rats and all that, right? Why do you think you can work 2 hours a day in the middle of your house? And like, I ask them all the time for reference, how many hours a day do you guys work? There hasn't been a time that I've messaged them in the last year. And Troy's like, man, I'm just at the crib playing Yahtzee. I hear Rashad, what you doing? Like, and Rashad is working on stuff too. You can see when his brain turned and he did this. I'm like, yeah, he figured out another idea. He figured out another idea. Like, you have to put the time in, and it's not the sexy answer, but it is the answer that is going. And let's take Floyd, Joe, familiar with his work schedule, Steve Harvey, Beatty, Loon, Charlemagne, DeTavio. How many hours on average that when you guys talk to them, how many hours are they working? And they have staff and support.
They're always working. Always. That's why, and that's those things that you don't see everything that goes into it, right? Like you see end product of it, but there's work every day, almost all day. Like, and even with Joe, we were talking to him, he's like days off. Like, bro, do you realize how fortunate we are to be in the position we're in, to actually do what we want to do, to talk about topics with the people that we actually like in this world, and to have people
and to be Black doing it.
And yeah, and be Black doing it. It's like, no, we're very fortunate. So why would we stop? Like nobody's going to outwork it. That's just always been the model. Nobody's going to outwork us. The things that we're willing to do in the spaces we're willing to travel. Like even last week, we were just looking at the schedule. It's like 4 days in a row, we were in a different city. Right? And episodes are still coming out. And you know what I mean? There's a lot of other business.
And planning for 2023 and other bit. And I'll say this too, for everyone, and I'm not just caping because I do the show with them and I have a relationship with them. But when some of you are getting upset at Troy and Rashad, you cannot be jealous of their success for the work that you didn't put in. Trust me, I would rather be playing with Xander right now. Rashad, I'll see him go to a basketball game, get on the plane, come down, touchdown, and leave. No shower. Hey, let's go ahead and record. 2023 can be your best year ever if you build the right team, number one. Number two, you don't need an accountability partner. You need accountability to yourself. And if you work on your craft every day, 7 days a week for 3 years, you will have the greatest explosion in your career.
So before we bring our guest on, we got one more topic to talk about, and let's get into this. What do we think of Kevin O'Leary's statement in regards to FTX, and how do we know who to trust as endorsers? So anybody want to explain the Kevin O'Leary situation first, and then we can kind of go into this?
Troy, you want to explain it?
Yeah, so I mean, Kevin O'Leary, obviously, we spoke about it a little bit last week when we were talking about
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful
from Shark Tank.
Shout out to Mark.
Billionaire.
He was paid $15 million? Yeah, $15 million to endorse FTX.
That's a lot of coin.
That's a lot. And so there's a certain level of accountability and responsibility, or should there be, is really the real question, that these influencers or investors should have when endorsing something and not knowing all the intricacies of the actual business. And so when the money goes, and obviously we saw what happened with FTX, if I was investing in that based on his recommendation, what is his accountability? The other part of it is when they went back to him, he was on CNBC, and they were asking him about the crypto space. And he says, you know, it was something that I believed in. And then they pull up the records, and he's saying in the same year that it's a garbage space and nobody should be involved in it. Right? You can see there's a contradiction.
I mean, 15 million change your tune, though.
So then is there a price point that can change your tune? And at what cost do you owe the general public to have that disclaimer to saying like, hey, I'm being paid to do this? And we've seen that with other influencers, and with Khaled, and we saw with Ken, and we saw with Floyd. And I think their cases actually got thrown out. But at some point, what's the account? What is the penalty for being paid to endorse something that we know, or not willingly, well, maybe willingly know that not a legit space?
Number one, everyone write this down. If you have to realize that no one cares about your financial success more than you. Celebrity that does not know you is not entitled to protect you financially. I think we may be one of the few entities ever created in the history of mankind that actually acts as a fiduciary in everything that we say. Number two, what kind of accountability? I don't know. I know he's frustrated, and everything that he said when he was speaking to them sounded like everything that we said on the show about what happened when I came and sat down with you guys in New York, which I miss doing, and I cannot wait to be back and record again. But when something is, okay, hypothetically, if a company is making, let's say, take FTX, if they're making, let's say, 30% a quarter, Rashad, you can attest to this as an advisor, you're like number one, top 1% in the world, if that's the case. Why the hell you got to pay an ambassador $15 million a year to promote if you're actually getting 30% a quarter returns? Makes no sense. I think this is a prime case of everyone has a price I like O'Leary. I like his investment philosophy and strategy. Been a fan of him on Shark Tank forever. Even in some of my grumpiness that you see in me, I relate to it in him because of how he's been screwed over in deals. But when you are supposed to take care of the public and you don't do so for a bag, is it really worth it? Even Shaq said, hey, I'm not a fan of crypto. I was just a paid spokesperson. And this is the number one, going back to ads. I only want to have ads on a platform from a company or a product that I actually use and or like. And Rashad and I had a very spirited conversation about this like a year ago. I think the number one mistake that podcasts are making, number one, they got you to say podcast instead of film, but number two, you are allowing your life's work to be sold away for pennies on a dollar when you let a product be advertised on your platform that you do not own. This is going to have a severe hit on O'Leary's reputation and ultimately probably Shark Tank. I would not be surprised if this does not get fixed in the next 3 months, that they don't find someone to replace him. And everyone said it's not possible, but they've had Kevin Hart and some other people. If they put Kevin in that seat over O'Leary, I love you, Mr. Wonderful, but it's gone. And even to our audience, when you're like, hey, why are you interviewing rappers? Clearly, we have to get bigger, because if the people that you're idolizing and looking up to have a higher Q score than us, then you're telling us to get a higher Q score to match that. I won't talk about Kevin Hart's deal with Chase, but that's a nice bag he's getting to promote Chase. So there's a method to the madness while we'll interview a Floyd, and because that's what the audience ultimately wants. But be careful. No one cares about your money more than you do, except me and us in this show. And if I made you money, please put yes in chat.
Yeah. And it's kind
He hated crypto and then endorsed it and got mad when he got swindled. Huh?
That's what I was saying, and it's different when it comes from him. So yeah, like Tom Brady's endorsing it as well. People are gonna, Tom Brady's an athlete. Steph Curry was in the commercials. He's an athlete. Like when it comes from somebody who's looked at as, a leader,
an investor,
in the financial space, and has a show that is based on investing, it's going to hit a little different.
Right? And just because you know about one space doesn't mean you know about another.
15 mil.
Well, we will monitor the situation. But now let's bring our guest on if we can.
Let's do it.
So Demetrius Scott, Director of Ally Corporate Citizenship, and he is the leading person at Ally when it comes to financial literacy. So that's important. And that's right in our wheelhouse. So yeah, I feel like it would be a good conversation. So how's it going, brother? How you doing?
Looking good, brother. How are you?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself? It's been a minute.
Good. Thank you for being here.
Same. Y'all been all over the world. Thanks for taking time for me.
Of course.
All good.
We've seen you in a few places.
We ran into each other.
Oh, for sure. So, all right. Let's just get this started. So tell us about your role at Ally, and what does that mean as far as your leading financial literacy for the firm? Because Ally is a financial company, so you would think that financial literacy is something that most people already know, but you can't assume that. So that's interesting that you're leading financial literacy for a financial company. So what's that mean?
Absolutely, no, great question. So just before I jump into that, want to give you all a little bit more background about Ally, who we are, what we do. Even though Troy, man, I've been watching you with the drops. You're getting better and better, right? So just a little bit more about why.
Master at work.
Yeah. Every time I'm like, man, I got to watch out for this guy. But other than being a leading digital financial service company, we understand how important financial education is to helping the next generation of creators, entrepreneurs, and people who historically have been underrepresented by financial institutions. So we have a long track record of helping create pathways and opportunities for communities of color to promote economic mobility and drive equity, which is displayed through a lot of our programs, like the Moguls in the Making program. Not sure if you all have heard of that, but it's an entrepreneurship program in partnership with the Thurgood Marshall College Fund for publicly and privately supported HBCUs aimed at preparing and empowering young entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to really go to the next level and get a better understanding of entrepreneurship, careers and other things like that. And then also partnership with Warner Media and DC Comics to create the Milestone Initiative to elevate emerging Black and diverse writers and artists in the comic book industry. And even our collaboration with you all, the United Masters, creating the next generation of creators, artists through the Earn Your Master activations across the country. So that's who we are. That's some of the things that we're doing in the community from a financial education space. But to answer your question, when we talk about financial education and what I'm doing and what I'm so excited about is really getting into the community. To your point, as a financial institution, you may think people are coming to us already educated, right? So not only does the community need financial education, our consumers need a financial education as well. So I run a variety of programs that talk to the people ranging from, early as elementary age all the way to adulthood. And I do that through a variety of programs that we've created over the years. One in particular recently that we just launched about a year ago is Ventropolis. So it's a world in a hit video game, Minecraft, that teaches users, financial concepts ranging from credit and budgeting all the way to taxes and home ownership, right? So who thinks to talk to middle schoolers about taxes and home ownership? But we believe that the earlier you start teaching these financial concepts, the better off not only will those individuals be, but their families as well. So we incorporated those financial lessons into the game that millions already love to play, and it gives the opportunity for students to build blocks of future financial success. Ally Wallet Wise, I happen to lead that program as well. It's been around for a number of years, but we're really focused on taking it to the next level with series-based learning. So making sure that we're building on the concepts, so ranging from banking basics all the way to planning for retirement, right? And our focus when we think about what we're doing in the community for financial education is for people that look like us. It's for communities that's been underrepresented or underserved. So we really go in and make sure that we're providing this financial education and creating creative content, programs, and opportunities like we just did this past summer with the Boys and Girls Club, which I'm super happy about it. I'm a former club kid, so to be able to go back and do a stock market challenge with the Boys and Girls Club and really teach the students how to navigate the stock market through an online simulator and mentor them and connect them with Ally Invest members to really talk to them about the capital markets and how they can start to invest and really understand money management. And at the end of that program, the students were given an opportunity to, create custodial invest or savings accounts that they can really start their financial journey. So we're doing a ton in the space, and I'm just happy to be one of the leaders that's in this space teaching financial education.
Man, that's a lot, and it sounds very similar to when we were starting in the classrooms. Those are type of the topics and ideas that we were having for our young people and seeing what it could do not only for them, but their families and obviously our ongoing community as well. And so for you, and I heard you speak at our Bibles, and I can hear the conviction in your voice, right? This isn't just a passion project. This isn't just passion. This feels like this is purposeful work. Like you have a purpose for what you're doing. It's very rare that you can find that purpose-driven work inside the workplace that you're actually at. So talk about that type of balance, right? Because most people are on the job, but it really doesn't match the purpose of what they want to do with their life. I feel like you've matched both here at Ally. How did that come about?
No, absolutely. And I'm blessed to be in that position, but it's really about chasing passion and not money. But for me, it didn't always start that way, right? To be honest and frank, starting my career, I did chase the money. So growing up in the city of Detroit, Joy Road to be exact, my main goal was to get out and make money, right? So I've seen it both, how people went out and been successful through a variety of ways, but I chose to make sure that I did it the legal way, right? We know what the other way leads to, right? So when I think about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to bring back to my community, I know you all are from New York and in East Chicago, Indiana, so when I thought about that, I'm like, hey, I have to go out, I have to do something to bring back to my community. So when I left high school, I really didn't have a plan, I'll be honest. I knew I wanted to go to college. I didn't have a choice. My parents were going to make me go to college. So I went to Michigan State and went to a summer enrichment program. And I was listening to someone speak, and I'll never forget it. Word for word, a guy named Jamie Roberts, he was talking about accounting. I had never heard about accounting, debits, credits, T accounts, none of those things. But he said, accounting is the language of business. And if you understand accounting and the numbers behind a business, you can understand business as a whole. So I went with it. I jumped into it, said, hey, I'm gonna start a degree in accounting, because at first I was gonna go into general management, but he said you need to specialize in something. So here I am, 4.5, 5 years later with my master's in accounting from Michigan State. I started my career in Big Four accounting. So I'm one of the largest accounting firms out there, because that was the plan that was laid out. They said, hey, if you go here, you can make a lot of money, you can make a lot of connections, and I went with it. So all the while I was working in Big Four accounting, I was an auditor, right? So nobody likes the auditor when they come in. So I was auditing for a number of years, putting in a lot of hours, really building my business acumen and building relationships. But it was something missing. I didn't feel fulfilled, and I didn't feel like I had the time to continue to do some of the things that I love to do in the community. So I made a switch. I strategically came over to Ally. It was a chess move to come over to a company that was committed to the things that I was committed to, which was growing the community, economic mobility, helping others. So when I came over to Ally, I started in a financial reporting role. And then all the while I was still working in the community with organizations that helped me when I was younger. So I was mentoring, I was volunteering with organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, the Midnight Golf Program. And I've always had a passion for community work, because it was people and programs like that mentored me, that changed my path drastically, right? So it wasn't a lot of people growing up when I was growing up that looked like me, that was doing great things, that was successful in the way that I looked at success. I know it's very, very different. You could think of success a lot of different ways, but when I thought about what success was, it wasn't a lot of people that looked like me that was doing things other than sports and entertainment, right? So stayed committed to the community. And while working my 9 to 5 in accounting, I was making decent money. So I started actually investing into real estate. So I said, all right, I'm not trying to work 30 years, retire, live that life. So I started investing into real estate, but all the while staying committed to the community. And I had a conversation with Jack Howard. Y'all know Jack.
Yeah. Friend of the show.
Jack. So Jack is like big sister mentor, right? So I went to Jack's office here at Ally, and I was talking to her really about, hey, how can I get Ally more involved with some of these organizations that I was sitting on a board of, or maybe mentoring and volunteering. And she heard the passion in my voice about, hey, I really wanted to make an impact in the community. So not only did I leave that meeting securing opportunities for volunteerism and financial support for the organizations that I was doing so much for in the community, Jack was looking to expand her team. So she said, hey, I see your passion, I see you're committed. I'm looking to expand my team so we can do more in the community. It's an opportunity I think you should apply for. And now I use my accounting skills and my passion for giving back to lead financial education for one of the world's largest digital banks. It was a journey that started off a little rough, but eventually I found my way to living and working in my passion.
That's amazing, man. It's good to see you again. So you're with Ally, you're investing in real estate, incredibly dedicated, incredibly passionate. But how do you balance all of that? Because one of the things that I see that men struggle with is like, we'll amass a certain amount of money, hit these career goals, but then maybe the family life or health life is off. So how are you currently managing how to balance it all going into 2023?
No, great question. Going into 2023, got a lot of big things on the horizon. So I have a wife, I have a daughter, and I also have another kid on the way. So we're gonna wait. It's a surprise.
Congrats.
Congrats.
So as we think about not, the balance of it all, right? Your career, your entrepreneurial activities, the things that you're doing in the community, we got to make sure we don't let the grind finish, right? So what's the point of working for all these things if you're not able to spend time with the people that you're doing, right? So one of the ways that I've been able to balance it all is having a plan and writing it down, right? So the biggest thing is that people don't write down these goals. Every goal that I've achieved in life is because I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I looked at it every day. I'm a big sticky note person, right? So I'm in the mirror brushing my teeth. I have sticky notes on the window. You know, on my phone, I'm looking at notes and jotting things down. So writing it down, and I can't stress the importance of that enough. And so many people are grinding without understanding what the finish line looks like, right? So even understanding if you're on track or if you have the tools needed to get you there. So just, you know, think about it from this way. I grew up playing sports. I know you all play sports as well. The only time we played basketball and didn't keep score was in practice, right? So it's people really out here living real life grinding without keeping score, not knowing what they're working toward, right? So you write things down, you know what you're working towards, and you're understanding how to fill in those gaps or those gaps are missing, right? So the famous quote that I always think about from Zig Ziglar is, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time, right? So I had a plan, I wrote it down, and then I started working toward it. And the way you do that is making sure that you understand what you're moving toward, and then building a team around you of people that's going to help you get there.
Can you talk about the Minecraft thing? Because I think that's interesting, especially for a lot of parents that's listening. Yeah, can you talk about that? How you was able to incorporate financial literacy in the video game?
Yep. So Minecraft is huge. Now, we wouldn't be able to talk about Minecraft if I didn't talk a little bit more about mobiles in the making, right? So the idea for Contropolis, which is a world within the hit video game Minecraft, was the idea that came from our interns from the Mobiles in the Making program. So they were tasked with, hey, we have this financial education. So when I first took over the team, we had education for elementary age students, and we had middle school adults. We had a gap in that middle school age range. So we tasked those students over the summer with, hey, let's create something in this space. And they came up with, hey, let's build a world in Minecraft, right? So it started off as an internship capstone project, right? So they pitched this in front of our CEO, JB, some of the other executives, and Allied, being true to an ally in the community. Not only did they say, hey, this is great, this is a great idea, they tasked us with, hey, let's go out and create this. So we teamed with Microsoft to create the concept of a video game teaching financial education. So not only are the students in there learning financial education, they're really going through a real life simulation. So it starts with, hey, you're picking a career, but you can't go and, you know, buy a home until you create a bank account. You have to go understand about banking. You have to understand about taxes. It's teaching students about investing, and by incorporate those lessons into a game that the students are already loving and they're playing, they're learning while they're playing. It's going to continue to grow. We're excited that we're like over 4 million downloads of the game since we launched, because the students are already learning this, and we've been able to start to implement this in schools, after school programs like the Boys and Girls Club, because they're having fun, but at the same time, they're learning these concepts in a real life.
One of the things you said earlier is that, you know, you invested in real estate. Now, obviously, you're working at Allies, investment online bank. And so most people get discouraged, right? Because they work a 9 to 5 and they're like, how am I going to build wealth from where I'm at? But that's something that obviously did you start out doing that? Or is that as you were going along in your career, you realize, look, I want to diversify. I want to have some investments so I can actually build wealth. Can you talk about that process and how you started?
Yeah, no, great question. So my approach to kind of wealth building and how I got into real estate is similar to your slogan of assets over liabilities, right? So you either have time or you have money, right? Sometimes you get to both. That's the goal. That's the goal at the end. But when I was working in Big Four County, I was making decent money. You know, I was making decent money, but instead of kind of going to blow it on buying liabilities, me and my wife decided that we want to build assets, right? So even before I got married, I used my career money to buy my first fix and flip property. So straight out of college, started working, bought a property. At the time, you all know anything about Detroit real estate, you can get a piece of property for a decent price, right? So
Yeah.
not as, as easy right now. There's still opportunities out there, but I was able to, buy a property. Had some contractors that I built relationships, some family friends and things like that. Buy a property, fixed it up, flipped it out, and made a decent amount of money. And actually, I used that money to buy my first home early on, and I kind of fell in love with it. Not only was I able to kind of build wealth through the joy of seeing putting families into homes actually made me go out and get my real estate license. So not only do I invest in real estate, I have my real estate license as well, because everything I do is rooted in giving back and helping others. So now I'm helping families, I'm helping, single moms, I'm helping veterans, I'm helping others get into home ownership because it's one of the ways to build wealth. When we think about building wealth, there's only a couple of ways that you really can build wealth, right? So real estate is in my opinion. So real estate, investing in the capital markets. Shout out to Ian. I have put yes in chat all the time. Thank you, brother. I'll put yes.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
In a second, right? So, real estate, investing in the capital markets, and then entrepreneurship. So I had to think of a way of, hey, I'm putting in this time. I'm not trying to work until I'm 60, like I said earlier, but what are ways that I can use my assets to pay down my life?
Yeah.
So started with real estate. We've expanded to some other businesses along the way as well.
So for 2023, going back to your goal setting.
Froze.
Oh, they caught him in the matrix.
He's frozen.
I thought that was me.
I'll pick up. So you're a real estate investor and you have a real estate license as well. This is something I got MG the Mortgage Guy says all the time. Like, it's one of the best ways to actually become knowledgeable in places to get a real estate license. So how has that helped you become a better investor?
Yeah. So being, you saying on the real estate side or just
Yeah, on the real estate side, like having a real estate license, how has that helped you be a better real estate investor?
Yeah. So access is key, right? So we always talk about do your home, right? So whether it's investing in the capital markets, whether it's building a business and whatever you're doing, you always want to do your homework. So the best way for me was getting a license, learning the trade, learning the skills behind it, and utilizing that to get access to the MLS. And I'm able to study the market and kind of understand what's going on in my market to invest in real estate. So that's helped me not only fix and flip, but also buy, multifamily homes and put families into homes and kind of build a portfolio because I have knowledge and understanding behind, just real estate, not just what I heard on, YouTube or just what I heard someone say on the podcast. I went out and gained the knowledge for myself. I feel like it's always important, whatever business endeavor you're going to get into, to get some knowledge into it. I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and get a license in the business that they're investing in, but you want to do your homework and not just take everyone else's opinion or knowledge on it. So I got the license, and not only did it help educate me, but it helped me save some money as I was going out and buying properties and investing in things like that.
Yeah,
For the people that are in corporate that are saying, hey, I don't have enough time, can you give them a really simple blueprint for how to be able to be excellent at their job, also invest in other assets, and have the same kind of balance they want?
Yeah.
Because you've been able to do that well, but I don't think enough people in corporate know how to do so. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So the first step is, building a team. Mentorship is key, right? So look to those that's great in the spaces that you're looking to get into, right? So whether it's real estate, whether it's transportation, whether it's, clothing, whatever the case may be, look to those that's doing it well and learn. So you may be working a 9 to 5, but it's 24 hours in a day. So you gotta hustle, right? So some people, I watched the interviews that you all have done, Floyd, and shout out to my frat brother Robert Smith. That was a legendary interview. So when we think about the time that these people are putting in and they're already billionaires, people are like, I don't have enough time. Well, that's not true. You just don't have a plan. You don't have a plan and you're not strategic enough about what you want to do. And honestly, you got to think about your why. So building a team, understanding your why. Did I lose you all?
No,
No, we're here. We're here.
No, we're here. We're here.
Yeah. So building a team, understanding your why, and then surrounding yourself by people that have the same kind of grind and hustle. So one of the things the mentor told me a while ago is that if you're the smartest person in your field, you need to find a new field. So every day I'm continuing to, assess my crew, assess what I'm bringing to the table, because iron sharpens iron, right? So surrounding yourself not only mentors, but the people that you spend the most of your time with, right? We've all heard the saying, you're a result of the 5 people that you spend the majority of your time with. So who's in your circle? So your circle should be having mastermind sessions. Every time you link up, it shouldn't be to talk about sports and, whatever else is going on in the news, shade and things like that. It should be, hey, let's mastermind. How are we building? How are we planning for 2023? So finding your people, surrounding yourself with the right people, and then having a plan. A lot of people confuse activity with productivity. They're not the same. Just because you're busy doesn't mean that you're busy doing something. So once you have a goal in mind and you know what you're working towards, that's how you're going to do it. You have the people, you have the team, you have your mentors, and then at the end of the day, you got to write it out so you can know what you're working towards. But it's 24 hours in a day. You have enough time if you're working on time.
This is true. This is true. I always wonder about people who are doing the work, right? Like you got obviously a lot of programs that you're doing inside the communities, especially in Detroit. How receptive are the young adults? Because I remember days when it was like they didn't understand what was happening, and then I see the kids maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we learned that." So that's the first part of the question, and then the other part is that how do we make people more aware of the programs that are available for our communities? Because sometimes, especially as parents, they just don't know. They're so busy in their everyday lives that they don't know if there's actually programming that can help our young adults and even help them. I know somebody was telling us at Howard, a lot of times in our communities, the child becomes a teacher, especially on subjects that we don't know, we're not familiar with, and financial literacy being one of those. So how has that been for you when you're dealing with the community work?
And to be honest, you all have made it a lot easier. You've made it cool and sexy to talk about financial education. So it hasn't always been that way, but brothers like yourself and others out that's doing some of the great things in the financial education space, it's made it a lot easier to talk about. It's still not easy, and that's why I'm dedicated to creating content, activation, and programs that resonate, right? So not only am I for the culture, I'm in the culture, right? I understand what's going on in the community, and it's a little different when I walk into a classroom versus someone that may not look like me, right? So I'm not going in and I'm not trying to talk over their head, and I'm not trying to sell them the dream that, hey, if you save, you can save your way to wealth. I'm teaching them practical skills, and the way I'm able to teach them practical skills because I'm in it. Yes, I'm working a career, but I know that my career is going to set me up, right? So my career takes care of me, it takes care of my family, but the investments and things that I'm constantly reading and learning, that's going to take care of the next generation, right? So my daughter and her kids and things are going to feed and grow off of the groundwork that I lay here now, not only in my career, but from my investments. And that's what we always got to think about. One thing my dad used to always tell me is that each generation has to make the next generation better, right? So we worked in a plant so that I can be in the boardroom. So now that I have a seat in the boardroom, it's my job to actually create tables so that my daughter and my child to be can be at the head of those tables that I created and be able to create their own table. So when I'm in these classrooms, I'm talking to the students about really building wealth, right? As a result, you're going to learn about budget, you're going to learn about credit, you're going to learn about home ownership. But I'm really talking to them about changing the trajectory of your family. So when you find out what matters to them most, and a lot of people, what matters to them most is building wealth for their family or getting out of the situation. So when you talk to them about what really matters, it kind of resonates a little more. But it's not always easy, but I thank you guys for making it cool and the things that you're doing.
Thank you. I think logically our community wants this information, but emotionally sometimes we get afraid. What do you think is like the number one thing we can do to make the content, information, everything that we share more palatable and to take the fear out of investing? So we will go from dropping an episode to immediate implementation from the audience.
No, that's key. And you were talking with someone the other day, you can't always dumb the information down, right? Sometimes you gotta encourage people to come up, right, and lift up. So it's really understanding what resonates. And when we think about stuff like Contropolis, right? The reason why we did Contropolis is because students are already playing market, right? The reason why we do things like that, like the stock market challenge, is you surrounding them in a team. Your competition. A lot of people feed off of competition. So you're trying to go in and not only as a company do, when we create programs, I'm not going out and I'm sitting in a room full of, my peers saying, hey, what can we do for the community? You actually have to go in the community and talk to the people and understand what it is that they're looking for and how do they want to receive that information, right? It's not about, like I said, dumbing it down, but it's like what really works, right? When we think about talking about money, it's not always about how much you make and things like that. You got to think about the psychological, ideas about money, the systematic relationships that people in underserved communities have with financial institutions and things like that. So sometimes you got to break down those myths before you jump into educating, right? You don't want to just walk in and say, all right, put your money in the bank, earn interest, or, things like that.
Yeah.
And how did they get to that point? Why are they still cashing a check at the local store? Why they're still holding their money and, under their mattress or things like that. You want to understand that psychology behind it before you just start giving them tools. And the last piece is just encourage them to read. Encourage them to read. If you're not a good reader, Audible is a good choice. You got podcasts, you got, you guys, you got Market Mondays, you got Anger Leisure, you got, a lot of great content out there. So find someone that is not only, putting the content out that's truthful and transparent, but someone that you can relate to. And I think that's the easier way to get the information across.
So let me ask you this. My last question. What's the hurdles that you're seeing? You work on the corporate side, so we're different, right? So we have the same mission, but we work in different spaces. We're in the media space, we're independent, we're entrepreneurs, so we don't see a lot of things that people in corporate America see, and vice versa. So you, as a black man that's working in financial services industry, at a large financial services company, what are some of the hurdles and some of the issues that you see in the industry?
No, great question. I say the biggest hurdles is kind of just breaking down myths, right? So similar to my response before, kind of understanding why people are where they're at and where they want to be. So the biggest hurdles is mistrust. So going in and trying to break down that mistrust and not going in and saying everything that they believe is not true. Some of the things that they believe is true, was true. So making sure that I understand that piece, and then just explaining to people, you have to put the work in. No one is out here giving on it, right? You have to put the work in. And from an education standpoint, if you don't have that plan, or you don't know what you're working towards, it's hard to kind of see the other side, right? And there's people out here that's doing great and amazing things that are not, athletes, that's not entertainers and things like that. So showing up sometimes is the hardest part. And when you get there and you kind of explain your journey, some of the things that you've dealt with, I think that helps. But the biggest hurdle is kind of demystifying the myths.
Yeah, one of the things I give Ally credit, and obviously Demetrius and Jack, and shout out to Erica and the whole team at Ally, is that there's a relatability there. Every time we meet somebody, it feels like it's a family-oriented space. Even though it's a corporate, Can you talk about the importance of having relatability? I mean, even the fact that, we have a partnership is like, wait, they actually are hearing what's happening here with Earn Your Leisure and what's happening in the community. So talk about that, the importance of staying relatable and actually understanding what's happening in the grassroots level.
No, that's great. I mean, representation matters, right? So when I speak to people, everyone is pushing entrepreneurship, leave the job and things like that, which I think is pros and cons to everything, right? So when you think about representation in companies like Ally, us being at the table to support organizations like yourselves and brothers that's doing great things like yourself, shows the commitment, right? So DNI is central to who we are. And we're committed to establishing ongoing relationships with consumers within the Black community. Right? We want to show that DNI is in our DNA, creating spaces that embrace, diversity, advocacy, and education. So our culture is inclusive and it embraces and celebrates differences, right? So we want to make sure that when we're out there doing programs and we're out there building relationships, that's shown. It's shown that we're truly an ally for the community. And that's really one of the reasons why I came to Ally and continue to work in Ally. It's the culture piece, right? So how many banks would you see at Art Basel, Timberland and King Push came out? You don't see too many banks investing and supporting, opportunities like that. And it's true from leadership down, right? So Andrea was there, she had a great time. We had a lot of great people there for those events that were doing the Earn Your Masterpiece. And it's just because we have the right people at the table. Like we've all seen companies and organizations that don't have the right people at the table. What's been the result of that? And I think Ally understands that, and that's why we're, trusted in the community, because we have representation at the table and something to make some of the decisions. And we're committed to making a difference in the community of Black and broad individuals and communities.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely, legendary situation. United Masters, Earn Your Leisure, Ally. Anytime we get together, it's a spectacle. And definitely, I said that, it was a lot of activations on our Basel, from Meta to, I think, did Chase have one?
They did.
Chase, a bunch of Fortune 100 companies. Nobody had a line 5 blocks long. So, it's, yeah, it's a lot that comes with it. Earn Your Leisure, Ally, we've had a good relationship, so look forward to continuing that relationship. But yeah, those type of moments, some things money can't buy.
That's a fact.
No matter who performs.
Yeah.
Even if you get Cardi B to perform.
Indeed. Don't forget about Fashion Week. That was a movie as well. That was
Fashion Week.
That's Fashion Week. Everything. Fashion Week. So it's been dope to just do those things where you wouldn't expect financial literacy to be at, but we're there, and just creating a vibe and creating an element for the people, and the way it just goes on social media and people just spread the word. It's become a thing that people actually anticipate at all these events now. So yeah.
Can we do something? It's the holiday season. Can we do something?
Let's do it.
All right. So obviously we've teamed up with Ally to empower the next generation of creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders with financial education. So this is what we're going to do for all our earners out there listening right now. Ally is helping us give away 15 full-year scholarships to Earn Your Leisure University. That's right, the new EYLU, powered by recession-proof, where you can learn real-world skills to help you pursue your financial goals. So if you're a creator, entrepreneur, or someone who is trying to gain financial success, you have until December 30th to submit your entry. So here's what you got to do. Go to EYLUniversity.com/giveaway to submit your entries. That's EYLUniversity.com/giveaway. Because for everything we do, we're all better off for the Ally. Shout out to our good folks at Ally. We mentioned their names earlier, and obviously shout out to you, Demetrius, for helping us get this done. It has been a fruitful relationship, man. It's been dope. It's been dope.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Looking forward to 2023. It's always a good time when we get together and make it happen.
Yes.
Well, it's been a pleasure, my brother.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Shout out to Detroit. What up, though?
What up, though?
Yeah.
Shout out to Detroit, man.
We'll see y'all soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, Sirski. Yes. Always love every time we go to Detroit.
That's a fact. What was that? Sloppy Crab? That was the first spot we was at. We met our Demetrius at.
Yeah.
That was a spot? Yeah.
Detroit always love, man. Shout out to Ken. Shout out to Chill.
Ken.
Shout out to the whole team out there. We got a whole team in Detroit. Midwest. Big in the Midwest. Yes, sir.
Speaking of Midwest, maybe next year.
Yes, sir, Ski.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Ski. It's called Stay Tuned Alert.
Stay tuned.
It's called Stay Tuned Alert. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Shout out to Demetrius.
That was dope, man.
Before we end this, anything else left to talk about?
I always talk about Elon and Twitter, but what do you guys, if you were starting anew, what would be like the 5 or 10 things you would do to make sure, like if you start from zero, we don't want this to happen, but what would you do to make sure that the business pops if you had like 1 year to make your business incredibly successful? The ones you can give.
I think it's interesting because we actually did start at zero.
Let's do this. Let's do this because I'm actually gonna make an Instagram clip about this too. So, all right. But let me ask you. I want to ask a question to everybody because this is something that actually came up during the Drink Champs interview when the whole thing about the $500 or $500,000 gift. Lump sum money, $500,000. Would you take $500,000 or would you take a dinner with Jay-Z?
Gotcha.
And what they did was they showed a clip of that, and people, kind of took it for however they took it. And a lot of people was like, there's no way I'm taking a meeting with somebody or a dinner with somebody over $500,000. That don't even make any sense. Like, you're not speaking any common sense right now. So this is extremely important for people to understand. I want to look at the camera when I say this. So here's the deal. The thing with social media is that it's mostly works off of hypotheticals. And this is why this whole conversation is dangerous. Because it's like, okay, the question is, would you take $500,000 or would you take a dinner or a meeting with Jay-Z? And everybody has an answer to this, right? Mm-hmm. But 99.9% of the population that's actually commenting on this have never seen $500,000 at one time, and they've never met with a billionaire before. This is just a fact, right? So technically you're not qualified to even answer this question. So by the grace of God, we have been able to do both several different times. So we're actually qualified to answer this question. So this isn't a hypothetical for us. It's actually a real life scenario. I'm gonna give you a real life scenario, so this could actually potentially help you in life. So when we meet Steve Harvey and we interview him, but it's a meeting, it's a conversation, it's an interview, it's something that happens, right? It's an interaction that happens. So what happens after that conversation of meeting Steve Harvey? He decides he wants to become business partners with us, and we become business partners. We make a lot of money from that situation, obviously. So does he. He takes a liking to us, and he opens up his network to us. The first person that he introduced us to is Robert Smith, who's the wealthiest Black person in American history, right? He makes a connection because of that. So we only know him because of him. So that's a billionaire that we got introduced to because of him. What else happened because of that? He made an introduction and made it possible for Tyler Perry to come to InvestFest. As a result, we get a guided tour, Tyler Perry studio. We get to have a conversation with Tyler Perry, live on stage and behind the scenes. And we develop a relationship with Tyler Perry in some regards. What else comes from that relationship? He makes the introduction and makes it possible for Dan Cathy, the CEO of Chick-fil-A, one of the richest people in the world, worth $7 billion, to come to InvestFest. We speak with his team. We establish a relationship from that. What else happens from that relationship? He invites us to Abu Dhabi to his golf tournament, where we meet some of the top people in Abu Dhabi, in the government, in the private sector, hang out with Martin Lawrence and a variety of other high profile celebrities. What am I saying here? Okay, let's say that we never met Steve Harvey, we just took $500,000. So what people don't realize is that most businesses fail, and most people have never started a business. So, and most people with money end up losing money. So just because you have $500,000, everybody's like, oh, if I get $500,000, I'm gonna turn that to $100 million. Well, probably not.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Even if you invested, stock market is down. For the year you would have lost money. You would have lost money in crypto. Maybe real estate you would have lost depending on where you invested. There's no guarantee you even would have made. It's not even that easy to flip the 500,000. Okay, you want to start a business. We know that 90% of businesses fail, even a higher ratio than that. So just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You don't have enough information. You don't have enough knowledge because you don't even have enough resources to actually know what you're doing. So it's like people ridiculing like, oh, that makes no sense. Why would you? Well, I'm just giving you a real life example. Now, this is our story. So it's not to say that this is going to be true for every single person, and every single situation is different. Every meeting is not going to work out the way it worked out for us. But just be careful who you're taking information from, because everybody's not qualified to speak. And also think things through, because it's like, oh, it just sounds like it's stupid until you actually think about it. Now, everything that I said, is 500,000 more valuable than meeting 3 billionaires and having relationships and establishing business with Steve Harvey and international trade with Dubai? I don't know. Probably not.
Somebody add that up.
Probably not. So I just think I wanted to say that because I read the comments, and some of the comments is like, oh, stop misleading people. This is foolishness. You've never seen 500,000 and you've never talked to a billion.
At one time. And to be real, when you get 500,000 at one time, you realize it's not a lot of money. We'll get to some bag talk. Yeah. When people got mad when I was talking about 28 million. Yeah. Dog, you can carry 500,000 in a backpack.
And dudes is doing that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, until you reach that point when you see it and you actually have accumulated it, you don't realize it, because it feels like we talked about that thrival or survival. Survival's like, if I get to 5, like this is it. And then your mindset changing, you realize like, wait, that's 28 billion. Like this man right here is worth 181 billion. Mm-hmm. We don't even report their net worth, right? These dudes will do 100 billion in business every year. It's a different game.
Yep. And these are the companies that you know about.
Exactly. And these are that's why I said when Puff had that conversation was about levels and there's barriers. Like there's barriers at his level, but there's another level above that we got to climb to. And the problem is that, especially with us in our community, is like we're all first generation, right? Like I'm first generation wealth. Shaw, same thing. Even Puff at first generation. Robert Smith, first generation. We don't even understand. Like we had a conversation with the 5th generation. And the dynamic is completely different. But we're still figuring it out for us right now. Like even the people that we know, Oprah, first generation, Jay-Z, let's see how we get to 3rd, 4th generation, right? Our mindset is going to change. How we look at things are going to change. How we view opportunities are going to change. We got to get there. So like, let's not criticize. Let's really watch how this thing is going to go, because the further we go, the more doors we open. Like I said, it clears a path. It gives you a blueprint. Like we don't, there's not that many blueprints. We're creating them. And we got to be patient and understand and have compassion for like the people that are actually doing it. The more you criticize, it takes away from the actual creativity and how far we really can go.
So it's very important to listen to those, and that's why I said at the top of the show, those that are doing versus those who are theorizing. Even when I said, I think it was season 1, in order to be classified as rich, you need 28 million. People are like, you're crazy. Every top athlete in the NBA, look at what their deal is structured at. And then here comes inflation and COVID, et cetera. I think if let's say you are in a position to meet with Jay-Z, you have to have something of value to even have those doors open. But 500 grand, and I get it. Like when I didn't have 100 grand or 50 grand, I thought 500 would be everything. then you get to that number and you be like, this is it. Like, it is a bad feeling to hit a goal and then be like, damn, this is it. I should have pushed for 15x or 20x more. Because if you're factoring in how many people, like, add up all your bills and then take the first 10 people that you care about the most and multiply that times 15 years. How much money does it take just to maintain where they're at now? No extras. No STK dates, no vacation. You know, I'll be taking them out on vacation like I'm going to Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Hey, Curry.
Hey, what does it take? And then my baby's straight, his college paid for, right? It takes work. But the thing is, the truth behind a lot of these posts, and the memes are funny, like even with Jay just reciting lyrics from the album and all that, that's funny. But the truth is, like, in order to enter those doors, it does take a lot of work. And from a press side, even to, let's say a PR person sets you up with Jay-Z, that probably cost you $150. There is a value of, so, and not let alone if he introduced you to Ty and everybody else that he knows and everybody in the art world, have to do the work. I want everybody to put in chat, but what is the number you are aspiring to hit for 2023? If I hit 115 next year, I feel, being real. So.
And you said something that was key. You said, like, you got to have level of value. And that's, I didn't get a chance to say that, but of course, that's another part of it, right? Where it's like, if you don't have anything, we have something to bring to the table. If you don't have anything to bring to the table, you have no value, and your whole point of meeting with somebody is just to pick their brain, then just take money in that scenario, because it's like, it's not beneficial because you don't have any level of value that you're bringing, right?
Yep.
So your goal is your goal in life should be to be as most valuable person in the room at all times. So when you meet somebody, because you're going to meet somebody at some time. That's the crazy thing about life. You're going to meet somebody.
And like we said at the top of the show, you got to be prepared.
You never
can't get ready you never know.
You never know when you're going to meet somebody. That's the thing about it. Like, you're going to meet somebody especially if you're intentional. If you live in LA, you're going to meet somebody walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to happen. Are you prepared or are you not prepared?
Yep.
That's it. That's what it all comes down to in life, because you might not have that meeting ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Might not have that opportunity ever again. So it's like your whole life should be working to make yourself valuable, to make yourself a resource, to have something that you can, change the world with. Yeah. And when you meet somebody that can help change your life, make sure you're in a position to add value. It's not about just taking a picture. That's important. Like, this is a world that we live in. People will pay money to take a picture with somebody. And I get it, social media, clout, and it could potentially lead to some level of, money in some regards.
Man, dudes be taking pictures for clout to try and get something they don't deserve to go get, and then get it and don't do nothing with it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a trick bag of like, yo, I got co-signed by this person because they put their arm around me. Take a candid. I know all the tricks. Take a candid picture so it looks like it's real. That's not the best way to go about it.
This my bro. You don't even know my middle name.
Chilling with the bros.
Not the best way to go about it. I'll be honest with you. So it's like, yeah, but people say a lot of things on social media and they don't fully understand what they're saying because they've never experienced it. And even me, like, there's things that I've never experienced. So I'm not qualified to speak on certain things because I've never experienced it.
It's not worth it to talk about. When
I have experienced certain things, makes me authority in the space. So when we talk about talking to billionaires, we've spoken to at least 10. We talk about Mark Cuban, Diddy, Robert Smith, Tyler Perry, Mike Novogratz, Don Peebles. We just had him on Market Mondays a few weeks ago.
Dave
Rubenstein.
You could throw Floyd on the list.
Floyd.
That's a fact.
We
had a conversation with Dan Cathy.
Dan Cathy, met him. We didn't see him in detail, but we met him.
Man, and I'm gonna be real. I'm a huge fan of podcasts. I told you I've been listening to podcasts since I was in college. Tim Ferriss, Lewis Howes, I got love for them. They ain't pull this off.
No, they haven't. We spoke to Mark Cuban twice.
Facts.
So
Gary Vee probably hit that in a couple years. Like, and I know because even when I posted, you know, when someone has more money than me now, listen, people like, yo, it's drug dealers who. That doesn't mean you should listen. I'm like,
no, you should listen. No, this is extremely important. Like, oh, it should. Yo, you should listen. You don't have to implement everything. You don't have to idolize somebody. You don't have to live the same exact life. I don't care if you're El Chapo. To reach that level of success is almost impossible. You're not a normal person, and you've done things that have separated yourself from everybody else. Pablo Escobar, you can look at his business model. His business model was actually very effective. He was the first person to pull the families together. He realized the distribution chain. He said we're more effective if we're working together as opposed to fighting each other. And they had a distribution chain that was making billions of dollars a year. Now, the product, of course, that's not the best product to be distributing, but you still can learn things from it.
Or right? Is it? Clip this up, put this on shade. So Rashad, it's easy. That was Ian. Ally. That was Ian. United Masters. That was Ian. I'm the easy scapegoat.
Views expressed by Ian Dunlap have nothing to do with this.
No,
I know.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. These are just jokes provided by 85 South. Chad and DC Young Fly. I appreciate y'all.
Not know that, man.
It's Red Panda.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
You went down that list.
No, I'm not.
No, ma'am.
Hell no. I ain't doing that.
No, man. I was just saying, imagine the people we've come in contact with who was on their way. Obviously, that stage is on his way to a billionaire. But even like the defense minister, the royal people we met in Abu Dhabi, and some of the people we ran into Dubai, who like we don't even know their wealth, and they could. I mean, like you just don't know. But are you going to be ready? I think that's one of the early things I learned from Shadi in our journey of earning leisure. I remember, I'm good at recognizing who the people are in the room. And sometimes I'll be like, yo, I used to tap him like, yo, he's like, all right, let's go say something. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, nah, we'll do it next time. And he looked at me one time, this is like early, probably like 3 months in. He's like, yo, we're not going to have another time. We got to do it now.
We got to do it now. That's
that moment, part of life. I've been relentless. Like, there's not going to be another moment. This is the moment. This was supposed to happen right now. What are we going to do? Let's see if we prepared.
That happened to me in Houston. This girl, I wanted her to introduce me to this guy, and she was like, "Now's not the time.
Yep,
it's the only time." I said, "This is the only time."
When I couldn't get it.
You can't tell me it's not the right time when I'm literally standing in front of him, and you know him personally, and I'm in Houston. Like, no, this is the only time. It doesn't make sense.
You got to go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, you got to go for it. I mean, and that's true in life, true in dating, true in friendships. Like I see so many people, and I asked the snipers this the other night on a stock club call. How many people got access to Sniper for free, and they waited 9 months to learn the information just to hear Peter come on and say, "Hey, I use EMAs and give you the same fucking setup." The people that executed though did great. Or how many people do you guys know who had incredible talent to do a podcast? And on paper, probably could have beat you. And they put out 4 episodes in 1 year or 8 episodes.
Consistency.
How they going to get to 50 episodes?
Not many are going to do it. Like everything is, and I keep beating this lesson home and then I'll say this too. In order for us to best serve you, we have to continue to elevate. Whether you choose to elevate or not, that is up to you. But I can't tell my son in 2 years, hey, man, I could have done more, but I was waiting for everyone else to get their things in order, and I was waiting for them. That sounds stupid. Execute at a high level, take in the information. If you don't have time to read, make time. If you don't make time, you don't want to be rich. It's fine. If you don't make time to make content, you don't want to be rich. If you don't invest in the long term, you don't want to be rich. If you don't listen to me, you don't want to be rich. Because anybody that you guys listen to that don't like me, they were not doing this shit prior to me. Let me see some posts from 2015, 2013, 2012. They were not there. Be the most valuable person in the world at your thing. And when you get in the room, like Troy said in this example, Ashadi, this is the only time. Doing a deal or no? I flew back from New York, flew from New York to Houston, landed. Peter called me, hey, I got an interview with you with FinTech TV and TheStreet.com. Did not want to do it. Flew back, didn't even get to my room at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was at the exchange at 7. As a result, all these hedge funds now want me to come and trade with them. I could have said, no, I'm tired. I don't feel like it. You think that Dubai trip back to Atlanta and then New York is fun for them? No.
The Mav Hoffa show as soon as we landed. Same day.
4 hours.
Till 2 o'clock in the morning.
4 hours. Well, that's the second 4-hour interview.
Mav Hoffa.
Damn, that's legendary.
We was in there till 2. We got there at 10.
It started a little late.
Peace out. Yeah.
Did y'all go Tony Yayo crazy, or what was the vibe?
No.
It was civil.
Yeah.
Civil.
Yeah.
We all stayed in our seat.
And we had Alexander, I forgot Bro's first name, founder of Fubu.
Oh my gosh, you just made me forget.
Yeah, he's one of the founding members of Fubu. So Damon John. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we'll get his name. Good brother.
Yeah.
All right.
That's Jay Alexander.
What's his name?
I think Jay Alexander.
Jay Alexander.
Jay
Alexander. Shout out to my that's my brother, man. Jay
Legend.
Alexander.
Legend.
He said in that interview with us, he was part of that interview as well.
Yeah, dope.
That's fire.
All
right.
Yeah, man. Well, folks,
it's been real. Is this the last show of the year?
This is the last one of the year.
Is it?
Yeah. And we always, you know what? I want to say this. We always encourage people at the end of the show to reach out to their people. Obviously, we saw the news last week about Stephen Twitch Boss, which is completely, it was shocking. It was unfortunate. It was tragic. But this is why we always encourage people to reach out to your people. Just check in on your people. It doesn't matter how they appear in real life, how they appear on social media. We just never know the depths of the things that people are going through, the things that they are battling, the things that they are facing internally. So it's always, like I said, you never know what one phone call can change or maybe not change. But I mean, as long as we feel like we've done our part to reach out to our people, really check in on your people, tell them how much you love them, how much you value them, how much you need them in your life and in life, period. It can go a long way. And so I encourage everybody to do that, especially around these times, right? Especially, that time in between.
Time of year is tough.
New Year's, it's extremely tough. And, prayers go to his family and anybody's family that is suffering from loss or suffering from any type of, tragic event that's happening in their lives or in their families' lives, man. It's truly tragic. So prayers go up to everybody.
And I'll say show up in person too, because a lot of times, I didn't know the brother personally. I knew a couple people who knew him though. I feel like the people that need the most help are the ones who are given the most joy because they are giving out what they wish they would receive. It's one thing to call and check and say, hey, are you good? But especially in our community, Black community, we have to do a better job about actually pulling up on people and hanging with them and making sure that they're straight. I don't wish ill upon anybody, but if hypothetically he lost money in FTX, should Sam be facing a murder charge? I don't wish death upon anybody, but when you are, and I said this before, in a recession, domestic violence goes up, suicide, depression. So when everyone's like, hey, in 2020, I want another recession, I'm like, these things happen at a faster pace. And let's be honest, even you can see people aren't as happy as they used to be. If you compare 2019, go through your photos from 2019 and what everybody was doing, and then go through now. It looks different. Please be careful. Please spend time with your family. If any of you ever need anything, man, reach out to me, message me, come hang out, come kick it, pull up, especially for the men. I know it's a lot of you going through a lot of things right now, especially this time of year, and it feels like the world is just beating your ass right now, man. It's going to get better. But if you need me or us, we are here.
All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Joe Button tomorrow.
Hey.
On a lighter note.
How much ish talking did he do about Maul. Shout out Maul.
No.
It was very I mean,
He was in a good mood yesterday. I mean, when we recorded.
Like we asked him, we asked him about it, and he said, he spoke truth. He was just like, it was trust issues on both sides. It was communication issues on both sides. It was, just people, just sometimes relationships don't work out. He was very diplomatic in his answer, though. He didn't throw him under the bus at all.
Candid.
And Patreon episodes be different though. But go ahead.
Yeah, I pay for that.
Shout out Joey.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, man. And before we go, last time for the year, man, we want to let you know about a great choice if you're looking to bank or invest. Ally is a leading digital financial service company with passionate customer service, innovative financial solutions, and our legacy focus on doing it right for both customers and our communities. So, with Ally, so you can save, invest, and spend on the things that matter most to you. You're all better off with an ally.
Ally, I love you dearly. If you don't come back in 2023, I think it's a huge mistake. It's like in a 5-year deal. Otherwise,
the clock emoji.
Otherwise, my entire stance from the beginning. Look, can I tell you a little behind the scenes? I was like, Shotty, we don't need no sponsors, none. He was like, but Rogan does sponsors. Everybody, I'm like, everybody. They making a mistake, right?
Okay.
Ally, you gonna prove me right? You see that crystal ball purple shining? What we doing? What we doing? And we didn't even, let's do this. If you want to sponsor Market Mondays, go to info@earnyourleisure.com or ian@redpanda.com. 50 grand an episode.
Or
I can just put up Stock Club or
ASO
real inquiries only.
Negotiate the deal.
If you don't look at it, I'm not sure it's gonna get through, bro. I'll be honest with you.
It's been a hell of a year.
I appreciate y'all.
Want to thank Ian for partnership Monday this year. We did Houston, Texas. We did London, did InvestFest. We did South by Southwest. We also did Madison Square Garden, which is legendary.
Amazing.
Had a bunch of people on the show. Few billionaires, Floyd Mayweather.
Rubenstein.
We did an episode on Wall Street, yeah. We did an episode on Wall Street.
Yeah, we did the episode on Wall Street.
That's true. That's crazy. Shout out to Peter.
Live on Wall Street. We made a lot of history this year in 2022. A lot of times, when you do extraordinary things consistently, people look at it like it's ordinary. And I think that's kind of, that's the gift of that's the curse and the gift of what we do. And it's like, we do so many different extraordinary things and we make history every other day and, do legendary things weekly. After a while, it becomes normalized, but it's not normal. It's groundbreaking, it's revolutionary. So, sometimes you just gotta sit back and look at the situation and say, okay, that was very impressive, but where do we go from here? So 2023, gasoline on the fire, moving even faster, going to even more places, connecting with even more people. The Mondays, live show, stay in tune, coming to a city near you, coming to a country near you.
Can we tell the one up top? Even though I kind of told
you. Not yet. Let's
stay tuned alert has been issued.
That's a big one. But so much stuff, man. So much stuff we got planned. Merch drops. Better quality.
Damn, I'm gonna hit you.
Better quality content, guests.
More information to make you money. New set.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna make me move to New York. Y'all gonna make me. I hear all the comments. I ain't like the way your key light was and your hair light. Okay.
Corporate partnership. My whole stand from day one with the sponsorships is that I'm not opposed to sponsorships as long as it makes sense. As long as the companies are good, as long as financially it makes sense, because I feel like it's beneficial and it's mutually beneficial. And I feel like anything that we stand by is something that's actually good. So whether it's Chase Bank, we have a great relationship with them. That's banks that we actually have 7 bank accounts at Chase. Like we're actually private clients at Chase Bank. So it makes sense to have a relationship with somebody that you're actually doing business with and you actually trust them and believe in them. Or whether it's Google, we've done stuff in the past with Google or in Alicia. I mean, everybody uses Google. That doesn't even have to explain that. I've been very vocal about Instagram and my support of Instagram. I think they have a lot of issues and a lot of problems, but I've always have been vocal. So when Meta comes and we do stuff with Meta, it makes sense, right? It doesn't seem weird because I've always
They're
said,
interested.
yeah. So and then Ally, of course, Ally has been a great partner. We've done a variety of different things and made a lot of history. United Masters, same thing. Any other corporate BET, once again, that's the party that we have a relationship with. We've done stuff with them, and I grew up watching. So it makes sense. Revolt, So yeah, I mean, I'm all for collaboration as long as it makes sense. It's not going to be a FTX situation where it's a brand that you never heard of before, and just unless you come with $100 million, and then no, I'm just kidding.
290. But you know me, I'm gonna tell the people like, yo, this is a finesse move, okay? So
100 million, 100,
cut you in on a deal.
100 big ones, Big Fish Crypto, the new sponsors.
and from a business perspective, the answer is to do both. But I think everyone creating content, please write this down. If you don't have a product or service attached to your business and you're creating media, you're choosing to be a lady of the night with your business. You should have a product attached to it.
But you gotta do both. Gotta do both.
Gotta do both. But my thing is, like, if we're having impact and I'm getting results, why are we even negotiating about if a person should sponsor? Because I'm gonna get upset. I'm seeing some of these YouTube shows and seeing a couple podcasts, and y'all playing with y'all numbers and running y'all numbers up to make it look like y'all really having an impact. I'm gonna get real upset like tomorrow, and I'm gonna go buy a set in New York and buy one in Houston, and I'm gonna put all this money behind PR and ad. Y'all saw when I turned them ads on for Madison Square what happened. Jaleel called me, bro, we got 9 days. I said, I ain't even turning on ads yet. Don't worry, we good. We good. But yeah, more content. We will get back to the presentations. I just need you guys to know, man, it takes me 6 days to prepare that information, but I would definitely do that more. But yeah, interview with more guests and more people on Wall Street, some swing trading. I'm excited for 2023. We're definitely going to change this format up and make you guys even more money. So yes, but I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for seeing the vision, believing in the vision, even when it sounds crazy. I've learned too, I'm like 2 years ahead of time. So I just have to like pace things properly. And even on the things that I say that's going to fall, I can do a better job of telling people where to get in, where to short, to profit from those falling things that are falling. So I appreciate y'all, man. To sell out Houston, to have Madison Square packed, to do London. I haven't even did my high school yet, bro. Like, I've done nothing but stages. Like, it's great. God is good, man. And it's power partnership. Like, before we went on, I was telling you, like, if we have a golden era rap conversation, I am New York for real. Definitely through y'all. But I appreciate the partnership and seeing y'all believe in the vision. And for those of you who are looking, it may not be somebody from your hometown and even the state that you're in to believe, because I once again, I always said, I brought this idea up to other people that were Black, and they were like, nobody Black wants to hear about investing. And here we are. Y'all copying my shit like crazy.
Here we are.
Okay. Here we are.
Here we
Grace, you gonna start calling me Derek Grace next year.
Grace. Derek Grace.
Love and grace. Shout out to Diddy. Puff, I don't know you. I like the way you moving, my boy. I'm about to do the same.
Love, y'all. Now you see me, now you don't.
Now you don't. Boy, I said, what? Listen, I need to step my game up so I can have a baby on somebody, and then they still be like, that's my man.
Watch this.
Phenomenal. You hear me? The sun don't shine forever. I want to play No Way Out. Like, this is Ian. These statements are a reflection of Ian and Red Panda Rebellion. Shout out to Old Bay. If you hear this, these are just jokes. I mean, upset you. But damn, I said you wouldn't have had a baby on, and she on Instagram talking about I ain't the sign. I step my G up 2023. Coming soon. And once again, Troy Rashad. All you got to say. That was Ian.
That was Ian.
Love, yo. Love.
No,
man.
Oh, baby. And shout out now. So I know his birthday coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right. Well, it's been real.
Yeah,
See you on the other side, ladies and gentlemen. Another year, another moment in time. More history to make, more money to make, more everything, man. More life, more prosperity. So enjoy it. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy New Year's. Be safe. Most importantly, be safe. Don't spend more money than you have to spend.
Absolutely.
That's important. And yeah, that's it.
be good, man.
Happy Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
I'll miss y'all next week.
Kwanzaa. Anything that you're celebrating, or if you're not celebrating anything, just be safe out there, have fun, and gear up for the New Year's. And it's lit.
Yeah.
2023 is lit.
Let's do it. Love, y'all.
Oh, it's
Send me
lit.
them locations for New York.
Oh, super lit, super lit, super lit.
Drop the Addy. Drop the Addy.
ASAP.
Yo,
Midtown Master.
Midtown. Yes.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.